everyone, and welcome back to my doll collecting channel. Today I am going to be explaining the lore or the backstories behind, I don't know if you heard that, behind some of my dolls. I'm not going to do all of my dolls because not all of my dolls have elaborate backstories, but some of these dolls, and I wouldn't necessarily say they're elaborate, but they have kind of maybe unusual backstories that I'm going to be explaining in this video, and explaining some of like my customs and why I created them that way. So first we'll start off up here. So these dolls, just the three, so Diana, Alice, and Jonathan are what I call my time travelers. So Diana is from Anne of Green Gables, and I found her at a thrift store. This was my first American Girl ever, and this is Alice. She's a Just Like You 3. And then Jonathan is Just Like You number 77, and he is named after Jonathan from Dracula. And the way I describe it in my head is that any doll that's like a custom based off of a character in a book of literature that's not official American Girl, because I don't really love the concept of customs, but sometimes dolls just happen to fall in my life, or I find them for a really great price, and so I purchase them anyways. But regardless, sometimes dolls that are not historicals end up in my collection, so I try to create stories that, or try to base them off of books like classic literature, Victorian kind of books. So I'd have to say Jonathan is like the most developed character. So he is like a witch, and I think that he goes away to like a magic school like Hogwarts. Not Hogwarts, obviously. I'm not really the biggest fan of Harry Potter, but he kind of has this secret that he's practicing witchcraft, and he has these magical abilities, and he's really into science and mixing kind of science and astronomy and witchcraft, and I just really kind of like that aesthetic. So that is what I'm working on. I'm creating a room for him here. It's not finished. I just started yesterday, so I'm just working on this new room for him, but he is a witch. He goes to like a witch school to practice witchcraft, and he is also a traveler, a time traveler, and that's how he ended up in Dracula's story as being the main character in Dracula. So that's how I explain his story. And then Alice, she's from Alice in Wonderland, and she is a time traveler, and she ended up in Alice's story, and I kind of picture her, you know, being in the Victorian era for like a long time. Was more involved in the story than Jonathan was. I know I'm getting pretty deep with this, but I've imagined her being in the Victorian times for a long time before ending up here, longer than Diana and Jonathan living in the present. So she spent way more time in the past than she has the present, so she has a little bit of a different viewpoint on things. And then Diana is just from Anne of Green Gables, and she's a newer doll, so I don't really have that much fleshed out of a story, and I would really love if I could find a doll, like a red hair doll, to be Anne. I already have an outfit made for Anne. I just need to find a doll for an affordable price that has green eyes, because that's what Anne has in the book. So for me, I would like a doll with green eyes and red hair. Just my personal thing. And yeah, so that's Diana, and she does have short hair because she's number 30, but I did get her for like $4 at a thrift store. I thought about changing her wig, but she's so cute with this wig, so I don't know what to do. Originally I was planning on getting 84 and turning her into Diana, but I found her at a thrift store instead, and I thought, oh, I'll just swap out her wig, and then people were like, don't do that, and I'm like, well, it is really cute, because apparently this doll is rare or something like that, but she does have her hand chewed, but she's still really cute. $4, I'm not complaining. So that is it for the time travelers, and I don't think their time travel, like these two dolls, their time travel isn't based in magic, and it's more based in science and like a science fiction kind of story, when Jonathan is the one who's exclusively into witchcraft and magic. But he does help them on their adventures sometimes, and does solve some of the problems in the dollhouse. So that is it for the time travelers. I do have some Willy Wishers. This is Ashlyn, and Ashlyn and Jonathan are two I'm gonna say they're the smartest dolls in the dollhouse, and they argue with each other and debate with each other and discuss new ideas with each other so often. Oftentimes they'll just be so involved in a conversation that everyone else in the dollhouse has no idea what they're talking about, but they understand each other perfectly because they're really into whatever topic they're talking about. But they're very smart, very academic. So Ashlyn isn't a time traveler. I'm trying to figure out why I put her and Willa in Victorian clothes. These are, by the way, porcelain doll clothes. I just go to the thrift store and buy porcelain dolls and then just steal the outfits and put them on my Willy Wishers. That's a little hack there. And yeah, so these two are the smartest in the dollhouse, and they would debate each other all the time. So some of the shorter explanations I have, so the time traveler one is a bit of a long explanation, but we have Claudie here, and Claudie in my collection is very much of a fashionista. She loves to be glamorous and totally the 1920s glam, which I haven't read her books yet, but people say is not really her character in the books, but she is really artistic and creative in my collection, but she just loves dressing fancy, so that's just a little bit different from like the American Girl canon, I guess. Next we have Yvette, and I don't really know what her style is. I normally try to dress her in a girly style because I feel like based on her looks, she looks like a very girly girl, and girly girl looks, or girly girl style and outfits does look really good on her, but I don't know if that really reflects her character in American Girl, so I'm still trying to figure out her style. I think she has a little bit more of a quirky style because she shops at the thrift stores and things like that, so I always imagine her being a little bit more quirky, and like McKenna being a little bit more like sophisticated of a fashion lover, if that makes sense. But yeah, so I'm still working on Yvette's backstory, but I know I kind of want it to be different than the American Girl. Next we have my Maple Leaf girl, Clara, and I also got her from a thrift store, and she is a re-wigged doll. She's one of the Maple Leaf Friends or Maple Leaf and Me dolls, and she is re-wigged. I'm thinking about changing her wig though, because even though this is so cute and she looks so cute, it's not really what I envisioned for her character being like. So her name is Clara, after the Nutcracker, and I realized today that she's probably, if she's Clara from the Nutcracker, she's probably also another time traveler. So she probably should be wearing historical clothing, but she's best friends with Taryn, so we're gonna have to develop that backstory a little bit more. And then also, if she's Clara from the Nutcracker, I don't know how to put her hair in a bun, which I feel like would be kind of important for a ballet dancer. And I feel like she's very girly in my collection, and she loves pink and she loves dance, but I don't know how to do that with her hair and how to convey that with her character. But that's kind of the backstory, and I realized she's by my logic that I set out for myself, she would be a time traveler, so she's got to have some historical clothes, or at least some dance clothes, so we're gonna have to work on that. Next, this is kind of like the 1940s room, 1950s room here. So the dolls who sleep in here are Molly, Nenea, Mary Ellen, and Emily. And Molly in my collection is like a tomboy in my collection. And to be honest with you, I haven't heard somebody use the word tomboy in years. I'm wondering if that's like an outdated term or something. So if it is, I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out how to describe her style. But she doesn't like wearing dresses, and she doesn't like wearing pants. That's just kind of the vibes I got off of her. So now that she's kind of living in this modern time, or the house is a little bit more modern, she feels way more comfortable wearing pants. So for her Christmas outfit, I put her in pants and like a nice sweater. I don't put her in a dress. That's just some examples of things that I do with Molly, because I feel like she isn't a girly girl in my collection. So that's why she's kind of like wearing Converse and things like that. So Molly isn't a girly girl in my collection. She wears almost exclusively pants. And Molly and Nenea get along really, really well. For some reason, when I get the dolls and I see them together, I feel like Molly and Nenea get along really well, and Emily and Mary Ellen get along very well. I know that they probably would get along with each other, but I feel like you would assume that Molly and Emily would be better friends, but I feel like Nenea and Molly just really click with each other, and Mary Ellen and Emily just really click with each other. So I visualize them more as best friends, like Molly and Nenea being best friends and Mary Ellen and Emily being best friends, but they're all like good friends in a group. I hope that makes sense. So Mary Ellen and Emily share a bunk, and Molly and Nenea share a bunk. So yeah, that's just something different from the American Girl canon, I guess. Another two dolls that you might already be familiar with, but I guess they're still kind of like classified as customs. These are my Bridget and Jenny dolls. So Bridget is the one with the lighter blonde hair and the blue eyes, and Jenny is the one with kind of, I think they're like hazel eyes and the darker brown or darker blonde hair, and they're the little sisters of Nellie and the adopted little sisters of Samantha, because at the end of Samantha's book, sorry to spoil it for anybody, but Samantha and Nellie end up being like legally sisters. So Samantha's aunt and uncle, who Samantha's living with at the end of the series, adopt Nellie and her sisters, so they all become sisters. These are my customs. These are Hearts for Hearts dolls. Both of them I got from the thrift store, and both of them are wearing outfits from Porcelain Dolls, and they're both wearing like sailor outfits right now, which is really cute and definitely appropriate for Samantha and Nellie's time period. But they're pretty straightforward. They're just like the books. They're just Bridget and Jenny. And oh, the only difference is that I guess this is more the movie version, because both of Nellie's sisters in the movies have blonde hair. Well, in the book, I think Bridget has red hair and Jenny has black hair. I might be confusing the two, but they have different hair colors, but in the movie they're both blonde. Next we have Mary Ellen and baby Olivia, and a few people were suggesting that I got this little baby. This is an American Girl caring for baby. I got it off of eBay for 30 bucks. Didn't have any clothes, and people were saying I should name baby Polly after Felicity's little sister, but then I don't have any of the other siblings for Felicity. Well, some people were saying that I could make this Willa Nan, but the thing is the clothes. I can find little Victorian, this was taken off of a little porcelain doll, and I made the little bonnet, so it's much easier for her to be like a pioneer kind of baby from like Kirsten's time period than it would be to create all original clothes from like a Felicity time period baby. So that's the reason why she's Olivia, so she kind of travels through the different times, and they just kind of take care of her. I don't really have a backstory of how she ended up in the house. Maybe I say that Mary Ellen mostly takes care of baby Olivia, because I think in one of did I say Mary Ellen? I meant Mary Grace. Mary Grace like finds a baby on her doorstep in one of her books, if I remember correctly, and kind of takes care of the baby. And Mary Grace worked at an orphanage or volunteered at an orphanage and really helped out and made an impact on the kids in the story. So she's really, really good with kids. So she takes care of baby Olivia a little bit more than everyone else, but everyone else basically pitches in to take care of baby Olivia. But you know, Mary Grace is a little bit more in charge, if that makes sense. But Olivia is a Victorian pioneer baby, just because it's easier to dress her in clothes. Next we have Elizabeth, and Elizabeth is kind of like, I don't know, the housekeeper, the baker, the person who makes sure that things in the dollhouse are going very, very smoothly. She's basically in charge of making sure that everyone's kind of in the place that they need to be, and she's in charge of all the food. However, other dolls help her with the food, so Felicity, Caroline, Kirsten and Marta all help with the prep of the food, but she plans what they're going to eat and how they're going to make it, and she's in charge of like organizing like Christmas and stuff like that, and that's just her passion, and she loves cooking and baking. That's just kind of something that I always felt that she enjoyed. And then also I found out later that according to the American Girl visual guide, I think it is, she does like baking as one of her hobbies. So I accurately guessed that. I don't know, I just got this vibe off of her that she likes baking and tea and all that stuff. So this is some deep Just Dream Studios lore. If if you've been here for a while, you may or may not have seen some stop motions. I started a stop motion series called Life at the Studio, and it was supposed to be about these girls, based off all the dolls in my collection and how they interact with each other working at Just Dream Studios. And it was kind of like a film production company that they were all working at. And Felicity had a podcast called The Patriots Podcast, and she would talk about like conspiracy theories, and the conspiracy theories were just so ridiculous. And yeah, that's deep lore. So I still imagine Felicity having a podcast called The Patriots Podcast and just full of like conspiracy theories and craziness. But like, so next we have Kirsten and Marta. And if you've been following this channel for a while, or if you've seen a lot of my videos, you will know that I bought both of these dolls at the same time. They were the first dolls that I bought as an adult. I was planning on reselling them, and I never ended up doing that, and I just ended up keeping them because I got them for a really great price. Decided that Alice was going to be Alice, Kirsten was going to be Kirsten, and then I was like, what do I do with this Just Like You 20 doll? I gave her so many different names. I originally called her Jane from Jane Austen, but then I was like, I wasn't really in love with that idea because I don't really like the idea of creating dolls off of like people. I like it more off of like characters. And then I created a 1940s doll, and then I was thinking of re-rigging her and making her a boy doll, and like just all these things that I was thinking of doing. And then I had her for, I don't know, two years, and then I moved, and I was like, what characters in American Girl can I make that are blonde, that are in the books but aren't real dolls? And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, like I was reading Kirsten stories and I was like, I can make a Marta doll. And I've always wanted a singing bird doll, which is Kirsten's indigenous friend, which I would love to get a singing bird doll, but I had this doll on hand, so I thought, hey, I'll make a Marta. And I was just at a time in my life where because if you don't know, Marta dies in Kirsten's stories, and I do use it as a little bit of humor in my TikTok account, and more so on my TikTok than on here. But I was thinking of making it so Kirsten is the only one that can see Marta, and that Marta's a ghost, and just playing around with that. And I was just in a phase in my life where I needed to kind of make fun of things like that, because I don't know, I don't want to get into it, and I think most people understand what I'm getting at, but I was just, I see my dolls as art, and so kind of creating this Marta doll was a form of art for me. And yeah, I hope that makes sense. I don't think it makes that much sense, but maybe you'll understand. So thank you so much for watching my video. I know that's not like fully fleshed out all of the lore of my dolls. I mean, that's what I have so far. A lot of my dolls are pretty close to the books or the movies, or things like that, so I don't change a lot, but these were the dolls that I changed something about them. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Some people like these really deep collector videos and personal collection kind of videos, so I thought I would make it. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but I'm sure that some people would enjoy it. And just thank you so much for watching. Make sure to follow my Instagram and my TikTok, because I post funny videos over my TikTok, and Instagram is a good way to connect with me and send me messages or see new posts and that sort of thing. So if you want to follow me on Instagram and TikTok, that would be amazing. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.